What normally follows Jesus' words of commendation in these 7 letters are poignant words of criticism. But as we read this short letter, there are none. Jesus has no words of criticism for this struggling church. He has nothing bad to say about them. One of only 2 of these 7 churches that Jesus has no words of rebuke for. So instead of criticizing them and then confronting them, we see Jesus simply calling them. He calls them to 2 things in response to him. He calls them to fearlessness and faithfulness. Verse 10, he says this, "So do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. For I tell you that the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you'll suffer persecution for 10 days, but be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as the victor's crown." You see, Jesus saw what they were going through, but as the first and the last, the sovereign Lord of all of history, he also sees what they are about to go through as well. They're about to face an intense time of persecution brought about by Satan himself. And some of them would be imprisoned and tried as traitors to Rome. But the good news in the midst of that persecution is that while it may be intense, it would be temporary. And scholars have all kinds of different opinions about what that 10 days mean, that 10 days of testing or persecution means. Some believe it was a literal 10-day period of time. Others believe it is symbolic of a brief period of testing. Either way, the point is that it would be temporary. Jesus assures them he knows what is about to happen. He is not unaware. He is not caught off guard. He is absolutely sovereignly in control and aware of all that is happening. He knows the devil's plans, and he is in complete control of the situation, so they need not be afraid. That command to not be afraid, it is the most common commandment in the entire Bible. It's the one that comes up more than any other. You see, because this is the most common problem for us as Christians. You see, who or what we fear, it has the power to control us, and it shapes what we do, and it shapes how we live, from little things to big things and everything in between. My wife is often afraid that I'm going to get sick, and so she sends me with a pack of Lysol wipes everywhere I go and reminds me, "Wife, have you been wiping down the tables at the coffee shops," right? But it's bigger things as well. My seminary professor, just this week, he talked about in the past how he had been paralyzed to even get on a flight because he was so afraid of what might happen on a plane. But fear doesn't just control us on a personal level, but on a community and societal level. Just look at the political landscape. In the next year, what you'll see is constant ads and policies, and at the root of a vast majority of them are going to be fear. Fear is going to be the motivation behind it. Could you imagine what would happen if this person gets elected, or if this person stays elected, or whatever happens? What will happen to our society? Everything will be ruined. All will be crushed. Fear becomes this driving motivation for everything that people are called to do, because fear is powerful. When it comes to our kids, fear can drive many of our decisions, whether it's about their education or their health care or a million other things. Fear has the power to control our lives. And the only way to overcome our fear is by setting our eyes on Jesus, who is bigger than all that we would fear. He is the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega, the victorious King of life who conquered death. He tells us, young church, they might take your money, they might take your reputation, they might even take your life, but they cannot take me. I am the one who holds you in my hand. See, and when we set our eyes on him, instead of being afraid, we'll be able to be faithful.